really approached Space Marine in a very different way from historically how we've made the Dawn of War series. You know, Space Marine has a very unique aesthetic. We took it always meant to be an action blockbuster game, and so all the decisions that we've made have been about taking all the aspects of the IP that really feel like a science fiction blockbuster game, and expressing them through our gameplay, through the way our worlds look, through the way our character moves and fights in the world. And it's really a very different experience than you've ever had before. We wanted to show the world basically that we're not just developers of great RTS games, but we can be competitive in any genre. And Space Marine, really the genesis of it was all about delivering on that core fantasy of being the Space Marine character, creating a third-person action shooter that's puts the player right in the boots of the Space Marine character, allowing them to experience the battle sort of firsthand in a much more intimate way, sort of in the heart of battle when all the action is around you. Which is very, very different from how you experience it either in the tabletop game, clearly, or from 100 feet away in the RTS games. Space Marine's combat system is very unique. The most notable way is that we've taken, two combat systems which tend to be very, very separate. So a third-person shooting combat model and a third-person melee combat model, and we've blended them together. And really that's been the focus of our iteration and development on gameplay throughout the entire development of Space Marine, has been about trying to find the right way to blend those two systems in a seamless way so that they feel like one combat system. This is really about being that forceful hero, that confident character striding forth on the battlefield, being very conspicuous in sort of bright blue and gold armor, and being constantly surrounded by your enemies and having them know that you're coming and kind of having it strike fear in their hearts. And so that's the character that you're playing. And then we give you a really sort of broad tool set, not just a lot of weapons, but we give you a lot of different combat actions, offensive and defensive, that you can use when you're fighting all these different enemies. And then on top of it, we've got two very, very different enemy forces in the game. We have orcs, which are these kind of brutal, animalistic, mob-like enemies that attack you in hordes, who individually are maybe not that dangerous, but as a group can be very dangerous because of the variety in the ways that they attack you and they work together. And then we have the forces of chaos, which are much more dangerous, sort of one-to-one, and are much more devious fighters. And so between those two enemies and all the tools that we give you, I think there's an enormous amount of variety in Space Marine, and we're giving you a combat experience that's unlike anything you've ever played before. We're not going into any detail about multiplayer at this point, but certainly we have a huge online component to the game. So it's not just about the single-player experience, it's also about going online and playing, with your friends. And so we'll be talking about that more in the future, but you can be sure that we have a very, in-depth, robust multiplayer component to the game. Space Marine will be launching August 2011 on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC in North America.
you